Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is overnight success, or really the myth of overnight success. And we get to look into the incremental steps that precipitate change. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding into your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any negativity, any stress, tension, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And this time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, energizing all your cells, all your electrons, all your molecules, and lighting you up from the inside out. And as you exhale any remaining fatigue, negativity, stress, tension. And now let's just gently press our palms together and very softly, softly, softly rub your fingers against your palms and feel the deliciousness of that tickling and tingling, that wonderful sensation, and allow yourselves to become present right here, right now, to these wonderful bodies that allow us to experience life. Awesome. Well, welcome. It's great to be here with you this morning. And we're talking about overnight success. And I don't mean even in terms of fame and fortune particularly, although that is certainly an example where we see overnight success. The truth of it is, I think it was actually, I'm not really up on the history of the Beatles, but I just remember they were an overnight success when they got on the Ed Sullivan Show years and years and years ago, lifetimes ago. But they had been working for years, that it's not, when we look at overnight success, really what's happening is that there have been typically years of prep. Good morning, Rosalind. So good to have you here with us. Thanks for chiming in. And welcome to everybody else who's joining us. So we're talking about overnight success and how it's really pretty much a myth that we most often the success that looks like it's overnight success has had a long period of preparation through incremental steps and consistent energy and effort directed in the direction of the intended objective. And I came up with this analogy that actually came into play a couple times yesterday when we were talking about change and transformation and shift change, like a phase change. We talk about moving from 4D to 5D or 3D to 5D, that there is going to be this overnight success kind of thing. But the way that things most often work is that they happen in increments. And the example that I came up with is a glass of water. And if you just keep adding drop after drop after drop after drop in the glass of water, what happens is the glass fills up, but you keep adding drops and you keep adding drops, and eventually that there's going to be one drop that makes that glass overflow. And more than one drop will overflow. And there's a tipping point, in other words. And so it's at that tipping point that what we perceive as overnight success occurs. But in fact, it's been something that has been fed with intention and action and energy, probably for an extended period of time. And I think that this is a really important thing for us to recognize when we look at personal growth and transformation as well, that most change that we experience, it could look like all of a sudden there's one thing that makes this radical change. But what's been happening usually is that the terrain has been being prepared, the foundation has been being laid over a period of time to support whatever that radical transformation is. And it's that radical transformation being that last drop in the cup that makes it overflow. Rosalind says, overnight serum. I love your comments, Rosalind. I so appreciate you, and I'm so grateful that you engage in these conversations on a daily basis. It just is wonderful, wonderful. So Rosalind says, overnight serums that get rid of wrinkles probably don't work, but do add to any skincare regimen. I add powdered collagen to my coffee. It's unflavored. So, so just talking about that, because the wrinkle thing is something that's been on my mind a lot lately. Welcome, Pat. It's great to have you here. Good afternoon to you. It's morning here, but afternoon there, and it's great to have you joining us. We're talking about overnight success and wrinkles, apparently. So, what you're talking about there is topical versus systemic kind of change, and I think that we can use that as a metaphor. There are serums that improve the quality of the skin, because the skin is an organ, right? It's the largest organ of our body, and it breathes. And using certain products on your skin nourish it from the outside in, and collagen is nourishing your system from the inside out. So my grandmother used to have gelatin, make gelatin tea kind of thing, which is, I think it's pretty much the same as collagen broth or bone broth, for instance, because it strengthened nails and hair. And, so this is from the inside out and the outside in. And we can be looking at Band-Aid solutions, which might be the topical solution versus systemic solutions. So this is actually really interesting too, because in the work that I do, it's the core connection work. It's driven by the internal symbolism generated by my clients, so we work with their symbols. And what happens is that sometimes the change is really palpable, dramatic, and other times the change is more subtle or slower. And I think that the reason for that is personal ecology. I think we talked about this very recently, the ecology of change, and how if something changes very radically, it can be tremendously disorienting, which can provoke an additional trauma, right? That then you have trauma laid over on top of trauma. So while change is good, radical change, whether it's positive or not, when change is good, I guess not all change is great, but all change is disruptive. That's by nature of definition. So when we look at ecology, we want to be metering the change so that a person can adapt to it. And we've talked about this too, is to stretch but not break, right? Because if you overstretch, then the recovery time for the overstretch is may invalidate the value of the stretch that, or the benefit. Anyway, so overnight success. The point of this conversation today is to recognize the value of persistence and ongoing commitment, you know, to be working at something. And, you know, it's always a question when you've worked really hard on something and you're not seeing the result that you desire. You're seeing some results, you're seeing some indication that something's happening, but you're not seeing the results that you desire. The question is, when do you pull the plug? You know, when is it time to say, okay, I quit? And I think that that's a really important question, because oftentimes the time that we want to quit is right when we're right at that edge of the overnight success, right at the edge where we're at the last drops of the water that are going to make that cup overflow. And trying to discern what that is a huge challenge, I think, to say when is enough enough. Pat says eating eggs is good for the nails. I have never ever heard that. That's interesting. I have heard that gelatin and bone broth is good for the nails and the hair, but I didn't know that about eggs. Good to know. Something we want to be alert to as far as the eggs is I think it's worth supporting the humane certified brands of eggs. The way that chickens are treated is in big ag is abominable. It's an abomination. And if we're going to partake of animal products, I think we get to be doing so in a morally responsible way, and to look for options that are treating these creatures in a humane, at the very least in a humane way. You know, maybe there are local farms or such that you can find eggs where the chickens are happy chickens and well cared for. Anyway, my 2 cents. And the other thing is that if you buy commercial eggs, they may have, the animals may have been fed with antibiotics and all kinds of other stuff. So not all eggs are equal. It was interesting years ago. I made eggs for my dad, and he said, wow, these are really good eggs. And it was interesting that you can experience a difference in taste too when you have wholesome eggs versus standard commercial eggs, because well, don't get me started. Anyway, so see, Pat, you never expected to get that as just adding some nutritional information in there, right? Anyway, and the same thing actually with collagen. You know, look for the sources, and the same thing with our skincare products. Look for how these products are sourced, because this becomes a way that we can support the new world that we want to be living into. Good morning, Bernadette. Welcome. It's so good to have you here. We're talking about the myth of overnight success, and we got into sustainability a bit. And this is a really good example of the incremental shifts that will make a difference ultimately, that will put us over the edge to where we'll hopefully have a greater connection with and respect for and alignment with our environment, with nature, with other humans and other living creatures and plants as well. I consider them living creatures too. So finding the things that we can do in our daily lives where we can be more awake and aware and responsible, that all those things add up. And I kind of think of it when we're talking about a phase shift, it's kind of the way that I think of the 100th monkey idea, that you guys may be aware of the story where there were these monkeys on an island, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they just started washing their food. And more as one monkey started washing its food, other monkeys learned the behavior, and all these monkeys on the island were washing their food. And then all of a sudden, on an island that was nearby, where there were no monkeys going from island to island, but on a nearby island, all of a sudden, the monkeys on that island started washing their food. And this I don't even know if this is scientifically true or not. But it is an exemplary, or an exemplification, an example story that talks about, I guess it talks about the morphic field, that there is a field of consciousness that connects all of us. And we see the effects of that, particularly like in science, where at the same time across the globe, multiple people come up with similar ideas. It's like the idea was in the field and a couple people were the receptors of it. And all at once, this same sort of technology, for instance, gets developed in these remote locations. And maybe that's also part of this overnight success kind of thing, where that tipping point is reached, or that morphic field is connected with, and maybe the energy that's in the morphic field becomes potent enough that it is received by more and more people. And then that's an overnight transformation, for example. We've been in an unprecedented era of technological advancement. I'm going to say advancement, and I think that is probably not accurate. It's not all advances. We tend to think that technological developments are advancements, but not necessarily. Anyway, Bernadette says, you'd be surprised by the amount of things that are on our veggies and fruit. I wash it all. That makes a whole lot of sense. And the thing is that a lot of the stuff that's on our veggies and fruit are in our veggies and fruit because they're grown with all kinds of chemicals, and the plants are living in the chemicals. So the plants have to be absorbing those chemicals. Plus they're sprayed with things. So, they absorb stuff, plus they're, all kinds of chemical fertilizers, etc. So yes, it's a good idea to wash your fruits and veggies, but it's an even better idea to get them from organic sources. They are most likely more nutritious and certainly less toxic because of all the chemicals in them. So I guess we're talking about produce and farming and food today. So Rosalind says, speaking of eggs, there's an ostrich farm in, I don't know how to say it, Buellton, California. They have a petting zoo and sell fresh eggs year round. The equivalency of one ostrich egg equals 24 chicken eggs. They sell cleaned out hollow ones too. I broke two of them. I had an ostrich egg, it's literally this big, and it's white. And the one that I have is hollowed out also, and I didn't get to eat the ostrich egg. And I had an emu egg, And an emu egg is a beautiful egg. It's about this big, and I think it's green on the outside, and the egg is green. It makes like green scrambled eggs, I'm pretty sure. And it has this beautiful texture and gorgeous, like dark forest green, sort of mottled with black color, and really rich and really healthful eggs. And Bernadette says, yes, organic sources. So I think, it's interesting because I tend more toward veganism, but I'll say I'm vegetarian because periodically I eat eggs, and I don't have anything against having, like, I intend to have chickens as pets. I hatched, the first time I went vegetarian was when I was a teen. I think I was I might have been 12. No, the first time I went vegetarian, I guess I keep thinking I was 15, but I'm not sure if that's true. It couldn't have been, because it was after I had hatched these chickens as part of a science experiment, and they became my pets. It actually turned out to be 2 roosters. And then at dinner one night, my mom had made chicken, and we were spitting bones out, because and I'm like, oh, I was horrified. I felt like I was a cannibal, because here these chickens were my friends. And so that was the first time I went vegetarian. And it was eons ago. And since then, I've done all kinds of different food disciplines, macrobiotics and veganism and raw foods and vegetarian and fruit, juice diet, all kinds of different ways to eat and relate to food and life and all those things. And I don't know where I was going with this. What I see now that is incredibly important for us is to be conscious and conscientious about our food choices, and not just our food choices, but what we buy, what we use. So, for instance, because we're on this topic, for instance, toothpaste, right? Toothpaste, I guess most of us use toothpaste. The thing that gets me is that so many of our, Maggie is under my shirt here, look at that. I don't know if you can hear her, she's talking. She's such a character. Anyway, there she is, playing peekaboo. Anyway, so toothpaste, it really just bothered me that the toothpaste I could buy was in plastic, and I didn't want to be contributing to more plastic waste. I look at ways that I can cut down on that. And so I found a toothpaste that it is literally a paste of, it doesn't taste very good. I don't particularly love it, but it's in a little glass jar, and it's I think it's got charcoal in it, and some other things. It's all natural ingredients, and it's in glass. And so I dunk my toothbrush in it every day and brush my teeth with it. So there are little things that we can do that make a big difference. If everybody did something like that, if we all did things like that, then we wouldn't be supporting the companies that are packaging things in plastic. So we do get to vote with our dollars. And that it's crazy that everything that we do becomes a moral issue, but it kind of does. And that gives us, it's very demanding to try to live with that standard. I know there are times when I just throw my hands up and say that, you know what, I'm gonna bite the bullet here and buy something that's packaged in a plastic bag. That which I do that, and I do it less than I used to do it, and it registers for me. So when I have an option to do otherwise, and I guess we all have options to do otherwise, it's just a matter of what our tolerance is. Again, this is the drip by drip by drip kind of approach where we can make incremental changes that will move us in a direction that is in alignment with our intention. So I don't know that I think overnight success, except in maybe a very, 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 very rare occasion, is more myth than fact. And in truth, we spend a lot of energy and intention and attention and action and effort to create a desired outcome, that it doesn't just happen like that. And that's probably a lot more ecological for us anyway, because if we had that kind of radical change, it might be so disruptive that it would create more trauma than benefit. So with that, I'm going to call it a morning. Maggie has certainly provided good entertainment for you guys this morning. And I just want to say thank you again. It's so great to be here with you. And today's conversation took an unexpected turn, but hey, why not? Let's just go with the flow, so to speak. So lots and lots of love to you. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And I go live each weekday morning here on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page. Please check out the other awesome programming on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page, Enlightened World Living, EWN One with the Earth. And I really appreciate you and this time together. And I hope to see you again back here really soon.